Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here. It's running the 7-game NBA main slate on Tuesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings, and I'm now making videos for NBA Top Shot as well. If you are unable to watch the YouTube videos, I also upload an Apple Podcast with a link in the description below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you are interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on patreon.com, an esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, as well as an NBA package. And then finally, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this show. If this is your first time watching or you are not familiar with Prize Picks, the idea is you're taking over or under on fantasy points. So, for example, Rudy Gobert is projected for 41 fantasy points. Do you like the under? Do you like the over? You can mix and match sports. And you're not playing against anyone, right? You're playing against the house. So it's kind of a fun way to get different. Again, kind of like DFS, but not really, since, again, you're not playing against anyone, just going against the house. If you guys want to sign up, you need to go DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. You get 100% match up to $100. So basically, if you put the full $100 in, you get $200 to play with. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we talk about players and their prices for the 7-game slate, we can look back at the lineup here from Monday. So Monday hit on a couple things, also missed on a couple things. So, Giannis, I thought, was the chalk spend up. He was 59% owned in the high dollar stuff, right? The only risk there was the blowout, and it actually was looking like a blowout early in the second half. I was like, oh man, this game's really not going to stay competitive. But luckily, Washington bring it back. So he had a massive game. But again, though, he was chalk. I thought he was a clear spend up for, optimal play. Emmanuel quickly went for 28 fantasy points. He actually barely played the fourth quarter. They were like closing with Ntilikina, which was a little bit tilting. I don't know why. So he lost out in some minutes. I thought he would have played a little bit more. Magruder was all right for value. Again, it was just basically a price point thing and what he allowed me to get in. So I used LeBron James and other spend up. I thought he'd be a little bit lower owned. Came in at 31%. Now, I moved a couple things around, and as you guys expect, the pivot that I made did not work. It actually hurt me, which is... if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know any single pivot I make will always go wrong. So I had originally Rashawn Holmes in this lineup, but I wanted to get, I was not comfortable with Keldon Johnson at small forward. And I talked about this in the Patreon live stream. I was just like, man, he could still play 20 minutes even without DeMar DeRozan and obviously without LaMarcus Aldridge. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to spend up a LeBron James because I thought small forward was really weak. So I went with LeBron James, and the spur I used because I thought I had more confidence in him, Derek White. So what happened to Derek White today? First half, 3 fouls. No surprise, right? Guards are never in foul. 3 fouls for Derek White in the first half. Second half, I'm like, all right, just stay out of foul trouble. We're good. 5.2K. Don't need a ton to pay off the salary. Picks up the 4th foul right away. Subbed out. Comes back in to start the 4th quarter. Literally picks up a 5th foul right away. Right back out. Comes back in with like 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. It's like a 15 to 20 point game. I'm thinking, okay, if he's coming back in now, he's probably going to play majority of the 4th quarter no matter what. Well, what happens? Plays 30 seconds and then gets subbed out. Taj Gibson, another one that I wasn't really going out of my way to play, but I needed someone super cheap to allow me to fit Giannis, LeBron, and Draymond Green in there. So went with Taj Gibson. Again, the swap I made, I had Keldon in there originally with Rashawn Holmes, and I think it was Malcolm Brogdon. And one reason I wanted to swap was obviously, again, I didn't feel confident in Keldon. The other was I was like, yeah, Malcolm more of a cash game play. I didn't really see the huge upside there, so moved it around to get LeBron James. And who knows? I guess maybe if LeBron has a massive game, then maybe this option will work better, but it's not looking like it right now because Rashawn Holmes went for 50+ fantasy points. So, yeah, that's it for the look back, guys. Going to need a pretty big game from LeBron and Draymond to cash, but we'll see how it goes. Right now, it's a pretty low-scoring night. Like, the winning lineup right now is 277. Cash line is like, I think like 240. 246. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a long shot again. There's Rashawn Holmes, 57 fantasy points. Oh, man. That is so typical. But, yeah, that's it for the look back, guys. Hope you guys had a good night. And let's talk about this 7-game slate. So we have, let's see, 4 of these 7 games out right now. Utah and Boston, a 227.5 over under. The Jazz are 5-point favorites. Knicks and 76ers, a 215.5 over under. The 76ers are 6.5-point favorites. Thunder, Bulls, 223.5 over under. The Bulls are 5-point favorites. And the Timberwolves and the Lakers, a 225 over under. The Lakers are 9-point favorites. So let's start it off with Utah and Boston. And honestly, a game I don't have a ton of interest in. 2 teams that are pretty solid defensively. I know it's actually, I'm surprised this is as high of an over-under as it is, 227.5. I thought it'd be a little bit lower. So starting on the Utah side, down to Mitchell at almost 9K. Just seems priced about right. He does have upside, but I'm not going to prioritize him. I know Rudy Gobert had the massive game last game, right? He had, 24 and 28 against Golden State. We are not going to get anywhere near that here. So, and he's priced up a bit. I'll pass. Mike Conley at 6'5", I think is priced about right. Like if I had to pick one of the big 3 of there for Utah, I guess it would just be Conley just because he's the cheapest. Should play 32 to 35 minutes in a close game, but not really a priority. Again, Clarkson and Ingles, those are guys to look to when one of the guards are out, so no thank you there. Favorites, just don't think we have to go there for value. So really, Utah's a team I don't have a ton of interest in. The Boston side, kind of the same thing. They're basically fully healthy. So Tatum, Brown, Kemba in a tough matchup, all secondary plays. No thank you on Marcus Smart. Robert Williams has been playing, around 20 minutes, and has had some big games. We know he's a really good point per guy, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. Now, right, 3 blocks, 6 blocks, 3 blocks, and 3 blocks. I know he's a good shot blocker, but he's not going to continue to average 4 block shots a game. Also, price is up now to mid 5K range. I'm going to stay away. I know he's been playing well. I'm not going to chase that. Tristan Thompson, Daniel Tice, minutes trending down. Don't really love either of them. And that's it for Boston. So, honestly, the first game, I'll probably have 0 exposure to. Cleveland, Miami. Next game, another game I have not a ton of interest in, to be honest. Jared Allen at 7.9K. Still a little bit pricey. Don't want to target him against Bam Adebayo either. Colin Sexton, no. Darius Garland, I'll pass. Kevin Love is doubtful. So Larry Nance will probably play somewhere around 25-ish minutes. I think it's just, viable as the last piece in, I guess. JaVale McGee should play the backup 5 and should play about 15 minutes. We know he's a solid point per guy. If you want to take a shot on him for GPPs and maybe hope for some Jared Allen foul trouble. Isaac Okoro, no thank you, even at that price point. Chetty Osman at 4.5 should play, 25-ish minutes. Again, kind of like Larry Nance. If you land on him as last piece in, I guess it's all right. But there's really nothing that I like on the Cleveland side. And the Miami side, it's kind of the same thing. So Bam Adebayo is probable, should be back. That's a, take a hit to everyone else in this offense. No thank you on Kelly Olynyk at that price. Jimmy Butler, I know I say this, he just continues to get it done no matter the matchup. So if I had to pick someone on Miami, it would be Jimmy just because he's playing out of his mind. But with, Jimmy and Bam both healthy, Hero probable, they're basically fully healthy. Not a ton I like on the Miami side either. So the first 2 games are, honestly, I'll probably have 0 exposure to those. Now we're getting some interesting games here. So Atlanta, Houston. What we got to talk about is Clint Capella at 7.7K. He is currently questionable. If Clint Capella plays, I actually like him a lot at his price. Should play close to 30 minutes and should be able to feast against Patton, KJ Martin, whoever Houston has out there. If Clint Capella is out, then I really like John Collins at 6'7", who will play a lot at the 5, played 31 minutes, had 43 fantasy points. Again, he gets a massive boost playing the 5, so I'd really like Collins there if there's no Capella. And then Gallinari, I think, is a decent play in the mid-range. I still have a grudge when he got me literally 1 fantasy point early in the season. But he should play around 30 minutes, and I think is a decent option. Would definitely prioritize Collins over Gallinari. Trae Young at 10-2. I like the spot here, but just this price point just makes him a tournament-only play. Herter, I'm not playing Kevin Herter. Bogdanovich, I think, is okay at 4K. Minutes trending up, 17, 22, 25. If there is no Clint Capella, I expect around, close to 25 minutes. He has not been shooting the ball well. When he does have a half-decent shooting game, you could see a pretty big game out of Bogdan, so I'm intrigued by him for value. But, I will mention, so Nathan Knight actually played, the backup big role over Bruno Fernando, and there's still Congo is questionable. So If Okongo's out, you could use Nathan Knight as a punt play. He did play a little bit in the blowout, but he was still a part of that regular rotation. Had 35 fantasy points. We're not going to get that again. But I think he's someone that, and he also is power forward eligible. If there is no Capella and no Okongo, you can consider a guy like Knight at the flat min price. Let's talk about Houston. So Houston, no Christian Wood still, he's doubtful. No John Wall, no Eric Gordon. I do really like Victor Oladipo. Good matchup here. He's going to play 35 minutes in a close game. Back-to-back blowouts there are 34 and 31 minutes. Again, it was on pace for 35 plus. Shot attempts 21, 23. He's going to be the number one in offense. So I do really like Victor Oladipo. I still like Kevin Porter Jr. even at 7K. He should be the number 2 in offense. He should play about 35 minutes in a close game. Had a bad shooting game last game. And he's not going to be the number 1. It's going to be Oladipo. But I still like him. I think that price point will scare some people off. Jay Sean Tate, no thank you. Daniel House, Ben McLemore, both questionable. If they're both out, then it's, again, just a thinner rotation here for Houston. A guy like KJ Martin, Justin Patton, these guys should play, the big role. KJ Martin, 38 and 36 fantasy points in back-to-back games. I think it's a decent value play. Then Patton probably starts and probably plays around mid-20s minutes. Both those guys I think are solid. Sterling Brown, if both McLemore and Daniel House are out, he'll probably play over 30 minutes and will be an okay value play. But that's really it for the Houston side. So let's move on to New York and Philly. On the New York side, Julius Randle, 9.9K, I think is in play because there's no Joel Embiid, so that is, a boost for him. He's their clear number 1 in offense playing big minutes. So still like Randle, I think more of a contrarian play. RJ Barrett, no thank you. Emmanuel Quickley, again, wasn't going to close that game until I think Ntilikina fouled out and came in for the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter, which is a little bit tilting. If Quickley starts again, if there's no Elf Payton, no Derrick Rose, I'm fine going back to Quickley. He did not shoot the ball well. I think he shot 6 of 18. The thing I like, though, is, again, he's getting those shot attempts up. And then that's probably it. I know Reggie Bullock had a good shooting game tonight. He's fine. I don't like playing guys that are very reliant on the scoring, but hey, he's 3.8K and he probably plays around 30 minutes. Yeah, Bullock's okay. Don't mind Burks off the bench too. A little pricier, but I would say he's a better point per minute guy than Reggie Bullock. On the Philadelphia side, so no Joel Embiid is the big news. So Tony Bradley's actually been starting with Joel Embiid out. If he starts again, I think he's a pretty decent value play. I would expect him to play around 20 to 25 minutes. So, if Tony Bradley starts, I think he's a pretty solid value. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris at the top at 9K and 8.5K. I think both look like pretty decent spend-ups. I know the Knicks have been solid defensively, but these two just get a massive boost with Joel Embiid off the court. So I do like Ben Simmons. I do like Tobias Harris, even with their respective prices. Would have wished they would have been a little bit cheaper. I think, they're not smash plays at 9 and 8.5K. If they were 8K or 7.5 and 8K, then they would be clear plays. I still like them both. Again, they're getting just such a big boost without Joel Embiid. So Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris both look good. I'm not paying 6K for Dwight Howard. Seth Curry, Shake Milton, with both Ben Simmons and Tobias healthy, I think are just secondary plays, and that's really it for Philly. Let's move on to OKC and Chicago. So this is probably my favorite game to target. I really like this game, depending on a couple pieces of news, right? So if Dort and Maledon are both out, then the Thunder are going to be really thin, right? They would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think 9 healthy bodies. So if both those guys are out, SGA, either way, SGA is going to play 35-ish minutes in a close game, and he's going to be their clear number 1 in offense. So do like SGA at the top. Again, assuming Dort and Maledon are both out, then Poisevsky at 4.4K, I think it becomes one of the best value plays. He looked phenomenal the last game. He had been playing really well in the G League too, and he showed it that last game against Memphis. So I would really like Poisevsky if he starts again. Ty Jerome actually started the last game too. He played 30 minutes. If he starts, I think he's one of the best value plays on the slate. So those two look really good. Roby actually came off the bench. He started with Moses Brown, but he still played over 30 minutes. So I think he would be a pretty decent play in the mid-range. Again, Moses Brown, if he starts this center, is one of the best value plays. Would really like him. Kenneth Williams played some good minutes off the bench. I think he's a good value. Muscala, not as much. He got a DNP and then only played 12 minutes with a pretty thin rotation the last game. So not looking to Muscala. Looks like they want to give their younger guys more action. Jackson, Darius Miller, not super set about them either. So that's really where I'm looking to if Dort and Maledon are out. There's a lot to like on OKC. It's SGA at the top, Roby in the mid-range, Poisevsky, Ty Jerome, Kenneth Williams, Moses Brown all look phenomenal for value if Dort and Maledon are out. Now, if Dort and Maledon are both in, Then I got to see what they do with the starting lineup, right? So would have interest, probably would like whoever starts. If Poshesky is still in the starting lineup, I like him. If Jerome's still in the starting lineup, I would like him. Moses Brown has been starting the 5. If he starts, I would still like him. So again, we just got to keep an eye on the Thunder news and see what they end up doing with Dort and Maledon. Moving on to Chicago, but knowing OKC, we'll probably get that starting lineup news after lock because that's how it's been this year with their reporting. On the Chicago side, Zach LaVine, I think, is an interesting contrarian play. Had a floor game last game, 28 fantasy points. The issue I have is the Bulls are basically fully healthy now. So, there's a lot more guys that can score the ball, right? Earlier, or I guess to end the first half of the season, it was basically just like LaVine and Kobe White. But now, again, Markkanen healthy. Again, we got a healthy Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter now there. So I think LaVine is still an interesting spend up. I think people will look the other way, or people will not get to him. He'll be lower owned. But I still think he's a good contrarian play at the top. Kobe White, if he comes off the bench, don't have a ton of interest in him. Tomas Satoransky started the last game for Kobe White, played 26 minutes, and played pretty well. If he starts again, I think he's a pretty good value play at his price. Other than that, there's not a ton of love. Like Thad Young started, but actually played less minutes than normal, only played 23. I think he's just like a fair play. Markkanen just seems pressed about right. No thinking Wendell Carter Jr. Patrick Williams had a good game, but I don't really want to chase that. Otto Porter at 4-5 did play 21 minutes. If we get around 20 minutes from him, he's a guy you could look to as a value play, but really the main interest would be probably Satoransky, assuming he starts again, and then LaVine as a contrarian spend up. Moving on to the Pelicans and the Blazers. So the Pelicans side, I do like Zion Williamson, 3 straight games of blowouts. 3 straight. If this game stays competitive, he's going to play 35-plus minutes and probably get close to 50 fantasy points. And this is a really good matchup, so I do like Zion at the top. Don't mind Ingram, but would rather get to Zion, who's just been playing a lot better recently. Lonzo Ball should play 35 minutes in a close game. Again, a lot of these games, he's 30 fantasy points in a blowout, 40 fantasy points in a blowout. So I don't love the price, but I think he's in play if you want to stack this game up. Adams, Bledsoe are just kind of like fine options as well. NAW got injured the last game, but looks like he'll be available. He has been playing about 20 minutes off the bench if you want to use him as a punt play because he's a solid point per run guy. A guy I actually do like is Jackson Hayes. He's playing the backup 5 over Hernan Gomez. I'm expecting him to play kind of that Hernan Gomez role of like 15 to 20 to 25 minutes maybe. At this price point at 3-4, yeah, I'm willing to take a shot at him for value. So do have some interest in Jackson Hayes. Moving on to Portland. So CJ McCollum, the big news is he is back. I assume he's going to be limited. So I don't have a ton of interest in CJ unless there's no limitations. Now that is a downgrade of Damian Lillard, but if they're really going to limit CJ, then Lillard is still in play at the top as I would say, contrarian spend up. Enes Kanter at 7-2 has actually lost minutes recently. If I knew he was going to play 35 minutes in this game, I would like him. But again, the minutes have been a little bit up and down for him, which does make it a little bit trickier to get to him. Of the wings, Robert Covington's the guy. He's playing the most consistent minutes, a guy that can stuff a stat sheet. I think he's a fair play, but again, with CJ McCollum in this offense, that is a higher usage guy that is now in. Finally, Minnesota and the Lakers. So Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards at the top are the 2 main pieces in this offense. Cat had just a bad game last game, and I'm still tilted about that in a great matchup. 9 shots for Karl-Anthony Towns in 40 minutes. 9 shot attempts. I will say, Karl-Anthony Towns, there's no Anthony Davis, and I think most likely no Marc Gasol again. He's going to be matched up against Damian Jones, Montrezl Harrell. I think Cat's a pretty good spend up. No one in the Lakers, in my opinion, can stay with him. No, Anthony Edwards, he had a big game last game, shot the ball 24 times. Again, the good thing I always say with Anthony Edwards is he is not afraid to shoot the ball. So I think he's a solid play at the top as well. I would prefer spending the extra couple thousand for Karl-Anthony Towns, who just has a higher floor because of the peripherals. But both those guys are in play if you want to stack this game up. Don't even mind Ricky Rubio, who in close games should play about 30 minutes. He's a guy, again, that can stuff the stat sheet. So if you land on him, I think it's just a fine option. Noel seems a little bit pricey. McDaniels is now back, which hurts Vanderbilt. Hernan Gomez has been, kind of fringe in this rotation. He's at 3.2K. If you need someone super, super cheap, I could see going there, but it's a pretty big risk. And then finally, the LA Lakers. So I'm curious to see what the minutes how the minutes pan out tonight for some of these guys. But LeBron James at the top, as long as Minnesota can keep this game close, I think he's a really good play. And then Schroeder, Harrell, Kuzma, I think are all pretty solid plays in the mid-range. Again, I'm curious to see what the minutes are like for Harrell, what they're like for Kuzma. If they both play over 30 minutes tonight, then I'm assuming we probably get similar minutes for this game tomorrow. So yeah, all three of Schroeder, Harrell, Kuzma will be pretty solid options in the mid-range because of the matchup. Markieff Morris, the previous game played under 20 minutes. So if he plays under 20 minutes again, I'm probably not going to go there. KCP will play the minutes, but again, he's super reliant in the scoring. No Caruso, so I'm curious to see maybe if THT plays a little bit more. If he plays like over 20 minutes, he could be a possible value for tomorrow's slate. And then Damian Jones is going to start the 5. He might have to play a little bit more. I mean, can Harrell stick with Cat? I don't know. So like maybe Damian Jones plays over 20 minutes, but yeah, that's really it for the team by team breakdown, guys. I think that's going to do it for the video as well. So if you guys have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't live. As always, I will be doing a YouTube live stream before lock to answer all your guys' questions, so make sure to check it out. Thanks again. Have a great night, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live stream.